Welcome everyone to our today's webinar. My name is Parminder Kaur and I will walk you through setting your options today. Now, what are options in TaxCycle? Options are settings or preferences that allow you to work the way you want to in TaxCycle, and TaxCycle makes it easy to share those options with others in your office, and also gives you the flexibility to keep it to yourself, or if you want to share it with your team members, you can definitely do that. And you can also use these options profile to easily copy these settings to a different computer. Now, our today's agenda, that the topics that I will be covering is in three distinct groups. First is options for your practice, what you need to set for practice level, options specifically for tax return preparation, and finally sharing options with the rest of your office using options profile. This will also include securing those options once you have shared them with a greater group in your office. If you are new to the TaxCycle, this is a great place to start. If you are already a TaxCycle customer, then hopefully you will discover some useful options going forward. So getting started, setting up your options or setting up your practice. The first set of options I want to discuss today are the options you have set for everyone in your firm. Whether you work for yourself or are part of larger organization, you can customize TaxCycle's option to fit your practice. Some of the areas I will be covering today: where to enter your preparer and firm contact information, how to use your company's logo and prepare signature files within letters. It is super important, and we really personalized touch as you communicate with your own customers, as the way, and also a way to set your e-file number and password. That's rather essential, as most things are electronic these days, and there are dozens of ways to transmit tax data to the CRA or your filing jurisdiction. I also want to quickly cover connecting to Client Manager. You can use options to configure Client Manager server, connect to it, and then share those options with everyone in your office. So you just do it once. And lastly, as a part of setting up your practice, I want to talk a little bit about controlling automatic updates, depending on the size of your firm and depending on what your update policy is. TaxCycle has some fantastic features that you can configure to get our updates immediately, or roll back a little bit, or even deploy those updates yourself within your office at the time that you see fit. Awesome. So let's dive right into the demo here. Okay, so now we are in TaxCycle. To access your options, there are two ways. You can easily access options from the blue sidebar here, or if you're like me, you can add the options menu to the quick access toolbar. So you would like to do that. You would like to click on the top, this arrow here, and then as soon as you do that, the quick access toolbar appears, and then you would like to select options in here, and then little wrench at the top will appear, and that's going to put my options on here. That is going to really make it easier for us to access the options whenever we need. Now, when you are setting options for your practice, the very first option you see, organization level options. This is where you would come and set the name of your practice and default contact, as well as default contact information, as well as default contacts. Depending on the size of your practice or how many other peers you have, you may have a dedicated contact point. This is a great place to come and set those options, particularly if you have a toll-free number that your client can call, or prefer email address that you would like to have a quick general inquiries go to, then you would like to specify in here. Now, just below that, there is a contact and address details, which I have conveniently populated here with the TaxCycle's address, which is all freely available on our website. And then we have a correspondence settings from the left-hand side. In correspondence tab, I have two choices here. I can load or I can set or load a logo for my firm. Right now, I am using a standard logo from a network location on my machine. We generally select JPEG file for logos, and then we insert those logos into the correspondence. TaxCycle produces as you print. Whether to paper or electronically, returns or letters for your clients. What we can do here is that you can also set a standard signature. So I am going to go and pick another one here. So if you want to change a logo, or if you want to change or add a signature, you just want to simply click on these three dots on the right hand side, and then it will take you to the folder here, and you can just simply pick the signature, which I am using this one here. And that is something, a standard signature file that I have picked. So by default, when an individual preparer does not have a signature file associated, TaxCycle will fall back here onto the office signature. And depending on how your workflow is, we know that some firms like to deliver correspondence to their clients based on a partner level, based on a partner that says prepare the return, even though they may not have actually prepared the return. Versus your firm may like to have a more personal touch, where each individual preparer creates a relationship with your client and they would like to personalize that. Now we will go into the prepare options down here. Here again, depending on how your practice is set up, depending on how much autonomy your preparer have versus how you communicate with your clients, you can go through and set some prepare details. And when we create or share options profile, we can uncheck the prepare tab to customize this for an individual preparer while maintaining a common set of correspondence and contact information for your practice. If you have a different names, perhaps we represent what CRA has on file, we can see and customize signature file as well. And also by default, we can use correspondence detail for the organization as whole for an individual if we want to. Or I can simply deselect this box here if I want to and actually have more personal correspondence detail. For example, if you are happy to have certain preparers share their cell phone number with customers so they can reach them directly, so as opposed to all correspondence coming through the firm, that they would enter that information in here. And next we have is authorization, the standard authorization form sets and the various numbers that you have accumulated over the years from CRA. This is where you would enter your business number, prepare or firm name or group ID, or also for CRA, or if you are handling revenue, Quebec, all those details would come under here. Also, if applicable, we have various discounter options and trustee options. Again, to make things more convenient, you can elect to use the standard correspondence information that we have set up earlier for your organization as whole. And or you can personalize this particularly, see, by either overwriting the address or contact information as well. Next is, we will go down a little bit here and we want to talk about transmission options. And under transmission options, this is super important. This is where you set your e-file number and password for T1 and T2, as well as for Revenue Quebec if you use net filing services. Now, depending on your practice, these may be organization-wide. For example, you may have a one e-file number and password for your entire organization, or whether you have these per preparer, so individual preparer or people responsible for actually filing the return and have their own credentials. Or even if you have a dedicated transmission computer, say for example, everyone in the office prepare the return and they get saved on the network, and then more senior member of the staff will go through and transmit those returns either individually or through a batch process using Client Manager, as well as your standard e-file accounts. And if you do slip filing, you can use these particular values here as well. And let's go to the workflow options as well. Now I must distinguish this from the workflow and task under the return preparation options. This is the workflow for transmitting the return to the CRA or the relevant filing jurisdiction. So we have a set of options here that you can configure. For example, by default, on every transmission attempt, TaxCycle will save the return. We require that error messages be dismissed before you can transmit it. You can select the language that you wish to receive the message from. The CRA has a pretty good at moving forward with bilingual options there as well. So even if you may transmit in English, but your particular customer's preference is French, you can actually have the message come from the CRA in French. And if I scroll down here a little bit, and then you will be able to see that you can control using these options which particular transmission I can make. For example, the option document signed. So before I can transmit a T1 return using e-file or refile, I must indicate that the T183 has been printed and signed. That's the requirement for certain e-filing transmission options. If you don't want to see that confirmation before you go to the transmit the return, you can simply deselect it here or select it again depending on how you want it. Conversely, the last column here, I would point out that all columns have tooltips. For example, pre-authorized debit, and you can actually opt to have those not show at all if you want to, like this. And I can turn it off at can transmit level as well. And I just won't see, and I won't just see it, or I can leave that at the can transmit level, so I see it whenever I am preparing a return, but I can turn it off on show in the search in here so that it won't actually show up in the Client Manager. Now, depending on where you are in Canada, you may want to see various filing jurisdictions. You may not wish to see various filing jurisdiction transmission types, so you may want to keep them concise, just the ones that you do and just the ones you want to focus on. In continuing through the transmission mission options, we can then go to the slip transmitter. But before that, if you are making any changes in any of those fields, selecting or unselected, you would definitely want to click apply, just so your settings or preferences are being saved. Now let's talk about slip transmitter. Again, like everything else, you can see transmitter name in here. By default, we use preparer's first name and last name at the top. If that's not what you want to use, you can deselect that and set a specific transmitter name. For example, perhaps your firm name is the name of the transmitter. That's what you want to use. Then you would like to come in here and add it. And again, like everything else, you can simply share your address details from what you set up at an organization level, which I am going to do it here for contact information. And there we go. And it will take the values automatically from the contact, your organization settings down to here. Awesome. And then we have e-services here. This is generally stuff we use to help with the support, sometimes transmitting CRE can be a bit tricky and can cause some problems. And this is the system, some extra settings we can turn on or off to make those make that as smooth as possible. Next in the list is Client Manager. So we can go to the Client Manager from the left-hand side here. And I won't be covering how to set up Client Manager server during this options session. There is a webinar available. You definitely want to check it out on our website before peak filing season, because that's a big topic on its own. However, what I will point out is that we can discover server on your network. So you can have TaxCycle scan your network to see what servers are available, and then you can select an appropriate server that you wish to connect to. So in this case, I'm actually connected to this server here already. All right, now just wanted to quickly talk about is service providers that we have. You can, if there is any notifications that are coming specifically from the signatures, from the DocuSign, if you want to enable that notification, you would like to come in here and keep it enabled. By default, it is enabled. And then after that, we do have a tax folder. And if you want to see that an icon that shows that invite new clients to tax folder or ask clients to upload documents, you want to keep that checked off. And then there are some settings around if you want to connect to DocuSign or if you want to connect to Sage. And there is an option that if you want to connect to Zero, so for that you would like to come in here and click on Zero and simply check this box off, and then you can simply click on Connect right from here. It will take you to Zero platform and you will enter your credentials from there. Now, next is the Research tab. This is where you can set up your research tools. By default, if this option is enabled, the ribbon in TaxCycle will display the various websites and agencies that you have put in there to help. You maybe want to help your new hires to go and check those websites conveniently. All right. Where are my tax returns being saved and where do I open them to? So in this segment, I would like to show how you can set your default files and folder options. Once you have your options open, then you want to navigate down to files and folders. So from here, from TaxCycle, and under that options, you would like to scroll down and go to files and folders. First, I want to cover the client folders. I'm going to show you some options that you can use to control where your files get saved. And it's obviously super important to manage the tax returns and where they are located, whether you choose to keep them private or shared and so forth. Now, this is where you get to define your folders how your folders are structured. So if your files are on local computer and not shared, you will use the drive letters in the path, like I have in here, C, and then tax return. After that, return type, return year. For shared server, it is your server name, such as then first is your server name, and then after that, everything can stay the same. And then you have the flexibility here, actually, that includes the dynamic elements from the available variables list to personalize your folder paths. This really helps in creating hierarchy and the naming convention that suits your workflow. Once you have it set up, you can take a sneak peek at what your folder structure will look like by clicking on Preview Folder. And as soon as you are entering any of the variable in here, you will be able to see the result down. So let's say if I want to have a name of the client, just after the return year, and we want to have it saved every client has a different folder and saved as a name, then we will have it like this, and you can simply preview it from here as well. And then you can see for T1 module, and it is showing us T1 2024 name of the client, and then for T2 as well, and further years as well. Or you can simply keep it until return year as well. Perfect. And then I would like to mention that that if you have a file open, it will even use that data to give you a realistic example as well. And here is a handy feature that you can automate folder creation as well as you so just keep that box checked off that says that create a new folder as required when you are saving a file. So TaxCycle will do the heavy lifting for you as you save tax returns. Now let's talk about exceptions. So if I scroll down a little bit here are the exceptions box, and then if you ever need to direct a specific year or type of tax return to different spot, you can create an options. They override the general folder structure you have set up. And one more thing to keep in mind, if you are using Client Manager, it keeps tabs on these locations as default folders to monitor. So if you make changes after setting up the Client Manager, make sure to update the folder it's watching, and then you are all set up to keep your tax returns neatly organized. Now let's talk about common folders here. So common folders are the way we instruct TaxCycle to put various files that you may want to share with other preparers in your office. For example, options for invoicing or slip sync. We publish your slips so that they can be consumed by different modules or even by different preparers. Giphy options. So say, for example, if you do a lot of Giphy file importing, you want TaxCycle to default a particular folder, so you can go from there. In various other settings you can use, including your data monitors, and also your favorites and tab settings, all of that, you can see it in here. Now, what you can notice here is, unlike everything else that I want to share with other preparers in my office, all folders are actually being stored locally. So what that means is that these folder settings I just said earlier will be only used by me and not particularly helpful. So if you want these settings to be used by others in your office, you can browse the application by clicking on these three dots on the right hand side and have it shared on your network so that it is available to everyone on your network. The other option we have is template folder, and from the left hand side we can get to the template files, which we have now in a separate tab under the files and folders. It's important that if you are using company logo or company signature in conjunction with individual preparer signature, that you put those files in the same location as the template folder itself. That's important. So when anybody in your office goes to print your return, whether it is to be a PDF or on a physical piece of paper, we want to sure that we have access to those signature files. So they need to be they need to belong in with your template. And on the top of that, once you have created some custom templates for correspondence with your particular customers, it is a good practice to put those customizations and those templates in a shared folder that are available to everyone on the network. So you can do that. You can choose those folder paths using these three little dots as well. And similarly, you can set default folders for print setting and label setting, and also we do have a summary column as well. Now, let's talk about file settings. The most important setting here I would like to talk about is allowing password. I should call out here that there is no file password bypass. Once you have set a password on a TaxCycle file, the only way you will be able to get it back is by knowing that password. So if you do like to use this option, For your files, prepare set particular passwords on files. Just note that we cannot get around there. There is no bypass for that. So if you would like to call out, so I would like to call out just as quick reference that files that are password protected, that kept secrets, client manager will not index those files. So if you put a password on a file and it is in directory where client manager monitors, and that file will be ignored by client manager. And conversely, if you add password after client manager knows about it, client manager will remove it from the database. Next, I would like to talk about is auto, which is down here. TaxCycle has a fantastic automatic auto update toolset, and by default it is enabled. If you would like to push updates out to all of you as soon as they're available, and they are always quite keen to get the latest toolset and updates and any new features in your hand so you can start using them as quickly as possible. We have a degrees here as well. Various degrees of our auto updates. So depending on how keen you are, we get the rush updates. You can get a rush updates, as we call it, as well. So you can use it accordingly. And that means that as soon as we put an update available on the website, TaxCycle on your desktop will alert you that update is available, and then you can update that immediately. We do have a rollback. We do roll back a little bit as well. If you're not quite so keen to get the release the day it comes out, say, for example, you want to wait a couple of days until the updates been out to make sure that you're happy, and then you want to go with it. Now, if you're in a larger office, we do offer this really distinct feature as well. You can control an update to be rolled out. You can simply go to the TaxCycle website using this link here and that I'm pointing out, and you can click on it. And as soon as you do that, you will be able to see you can actually download the update bundle as an independent zip file, and then what you can do is once you have downloaded that, you can then deploy it as a zip file to the path on your network. And once that has been deployed, then all your workstation throughout your office will begin the auto update process. So this is a fantastic tool set, particularly if you like to have a more conservative update policy. Perhaps a couple of machines in your office will get updated first, and then you can try the new TaxCycle, make sure that each is set. And then once you are comfortable, then you can schedule a rollout for the greater office at the time that's suitable for you. Now go back to the options here, and then there are a few more options down here. You can look into the sharing. These may lean more towards individual prepare options, where, for example, by default, if you have a TaxCycle stored and use TaxCycle linking to post data from TaxCycle back to TaxCycle and so forth, it is a great tool for managing all the source documents, and you may receive, and you can have TaxCycle and TaxCycle automatically save on both sides whenever changes happen. And then we do have a data mining options here as well. There are general options and default options, and where you want to save them, you can have it all specified in here. And there is a help system as well. So we would encourage you to leave that on. So anyone preparing a return, simply hit F1 or get the tool tips about form updates as they are on particular returns, so they can learn about what those updates are. Or if they are a little confused and need more help, they can check out some great resources we have and quickly figure out what you need to do. Understand that what I'm talking about help, as with everything on the options dialog itself, we do have a help icon at the top right corner here as well, and you push that, or you can hit F1 no matter where you are and jump out to the help system. So if I hit F1 right now, you can see that I can see all the options related settings, all the option related resources that I want to look into. So we have just done how you can set up the options for your practice. Next up is options for preparing returns. In addition to practice level options that we have just discussed, there are a host of additional options to control the preparation process. So in this particular session, I will be covering other options to control the editing behavior of the forums and the forums behavior themselves, as well as the host of options that we have that you can use to control the preparation of individual returns that ranges from T1 return to the prior year returns through T2, T5013, etc. Now we will go back to the demo and we'll show you how this works. Now that a process, we can set return preparation options. So we have a set of options here underneath to control the various behaviors of preparation process. So first thing is that once you are in options, then you would like to scroll it down a little bit, and then you would be able to see just underneath the start screen options, you will be able to find return preparation options. And then first I'm going to select is edit options here. You can really personalize your editing experience here. Some options will be familiar and some will be new. So the inner options themselves are really used to control how you interact with forums themselves and the data on the forums. So you will be able to see that. So for example, here I personally prefer to have automatically capitalize the first letter of each word because that's my preference. Whether you choose to do that or not, whether you choose to use all uppercase when you're entering text into the form. So you can choose to have that here. And if I scroll down a little bit here, you will be able to see that there are many options for how our tabs behave and how memos and managed and tapes itself, and as well as timer options here as well. And if you're like me, you can definitely come in here and check your timer options. And by default, you can actually, when you're creating a return, TaxCycle runs a timer in the background if you have this box, if you check off this box here. But sometimes you may be looking at a different product or a different program or simply checking the news on the web browse. So you can have TaxCycle pause the timer when it loses focus, so you don't accidentally leave the timer running, say if you come out over lunch. And then next up, I wanted to talk about is display, and then right afterwards, then we will look into the review options as well. And so these options really control how the data is displayed on the forums and whether or not you can, for example, tear off a tab to make a new window. If I'm having more than one display, that's clearly a feature that I would have enabled. So you can perhaps tear off the summary tab onto your second or third screen, so you can keep an eye on that while you're preparing the rest of the return. And then we can quickly jump off to review options here. And now I would like to call out that review options here control how the review messages are displayed, not which ones are displayed. So for example, if you prefer to have a colored background on the field that have a review message, so you would like to select that one here, like a really bold highlight around the field that requires your attention because there may be a review message on it, or you prefer something a little bit more subtle. These are the options that control that. And then we have sidebar in here. This is the little bar that you can either put on the left-hand side or right-hand side of the TaxCycle once you are within the return. And this is where you can see forms used to print transmission and control the review message. You can control its behavior, and depending on what your options are, if you are on preparer machine or if you are on partner level review machine, you can actually default which one of those appear on the sidebar as first whenever you are opening a return. Our next is invoicing here. And invoicing is important. If you use TaxCycle for invoicing needs, this is where you can set some default invoicing options. For example, I may start with invoicing number. If you want to change it, you can do that right in here. And then you can also charge a provincial sales tax, let's say Alberta. Let's say that's where your office is, and you have options to push invoicing information to 0 as well. And then if you have selected 0 here, you would like to click on connect. However, you do have third-party products like QuickBooks as well. You can select that option and connect it right from here. And lastly, I would like to call out dialog options in here. And dialog options, we go to a great pains when we think of any new feature we want to add. We want to avoid popping up dialogs. We don't really like that behavior, maybe trying to avoid it. However, on a couple of occasions and some key events, we do show dialogs. So you can actually tell TaxCycle, for example, if I delete a snapshot, I don't really need to be confirmed. I am just going to go ahead and clear this box here. You can turn off and turn on the dialogues right in here. And you want to see before key action take place when preparing or attending. So that really helps you whenever you are doing some action, that it will appear a dialog box for confirmation or not. So you can do that in here. And once you have made the changes, you would like to hit apply. So that's the return preparation options. Now I want to talk about T1 module. So let me just ensure that we're going through the polling question 3 as well. And we will talk about T1 module options. So when I now if I move down a little bit in here in the options, so before that, let's minimize the TaxCycle option so it's for everyone to see the options. So everything we will discuss in T1 module options is relevant and absolutely applies to other modules as well. And we will now look into the T1 module preparation options. So first one I would like to look into is first thing I would like to expand this. And first is we will look into general options. So you can expand these so you can set specific options per year. In that way, I will show in a moment how you can apply those options to every year with one click of the mouse. And here is a general tab, and we will click on 2024, and you can set particular color preferences, whether you choose to color by gender, for the forms, how they appear, and if you color by gender, you may select which color that you want to select. So you can do that right from here, and we have a set of predefined colors based on what we have developed through over the years, and that's pretty much it for a general option. So I would like to call out that if you do like to see a prior year, the year of the year of the module on your prior returns as a texture on the form, you can leave this option selected. That's particularly handy if you are finally going back to prepare your older, let's say 2023, 2022 returns. If they look the same as 2024 returns, it just clears up any confusion it might be because of that. And then after that, we do have a file naming. And so after general, we can look into the file naming options here. And here in the file naming, you can default how your files are saved, or how TaxCycle, I should say, suggests the file name. So when you create a new file or you carry forward the file, it's a brand new, you click save, and the file has not saved before, you can instruct the TaxCycle based on my preferences. So so we can say that I want to suggest a file name based on these parameters. Again, these are the independent or separate per module type. Down here, we can get a neat little preview of what your file name would look like depending on what you have selected at the top. So for example, if I like to prefix prep and tax year to the file name, to name the file, then I would select this one in here, and we do include the year of the file and the file extension. But if your file extensions are turned off, or they get wrapped, or will get lost in the file name, you can easily put the year of the file at the front. So as soon as we select this, you can see the year of the file appears at the front. So if I have done that, as I mentioned earlier in general, I have got my options to see how I want my prep and tax year to the files. With most options for module specific options, I can simply right click on that and I can apply the options that I have set to the prior year, in this case 2023, and then I can apply to 2023, and as well as I can apply to all the other T1 or TP1 file naming options module as well. And I don't have to go through and take these prep and tax year options for every year. That would be a waste of everybody's time. You can get the current year set up how you like it, and simply have TaxCycle apply that to all the previous years as you want. And whenever we introduce a new module, we look at 2024. So for example, current year is 2024, and then when we introduce when we are introduced to 2025 options module, your 2024 values are automatically carried forward, so you don't need to come back and set those either. Perfect. And then we are going to move down to new files here. Under new file, these are the options that you can set when you create a new file, whether new or you carry forward a new file, or you can set the various options that you want. So here I want to carry forward, let's say, election Canada question, or carry forward foreign property questions, because I don't want to have to answer those every time I create new file, or after a file gets carried forward, I would say. I can also go down and show you more values that we have as default, and then you can see that there are default values that you can set for address information, and also for optimization. Want to TaxCycle optimize their tax return, you can set default policies, of course, as with every default value. And once the file has been created, those values pre-populate the new file. The file gets saved. You can go into the file and start changing those values on a per file basis. You want to do that at any point. After the new file, I am going to pop down to here. We can look into this disclaimer. If you want to include disclaimer for your client returns, this is where you want to come in. And we do have a form availability. So depending on what your preferences are, you can indicate which forms show or don't show based on how you prefer to prepare your returns. In this case, right now we have a short number of forms, mainly summaries, depending on which summary format you prefer to use and present to your client. So you can select that accordingly. And next is autofill my return. Here you can, I think EFR has been out for several years and now it's integral part of the preparation process. It is a great way to get start getting our resource data from new clients into your return so you can get through that return as quickly as possible. And you can select that if you want to import the 5008 slips by default, and then you can keep it selected as well. You can also look into the custom fields as well right in here if you have any, and then you can look into the pricing options. Let's discuss pricing options in T1 module here. For that, once you have the options open and under the T1 module, you will be able to find the pricing options, and you will be able to see all according to the years as well. And let's say if you want to look into 2024, and this is the section where you can configure your service charges, and here you have the options to hide items as well right from the bottom here as well with the zero charges. So if I click on here, you will be able to see that all zero charged values are hidden. You can only see the one that has a price, and we will go back and show all prices. You will be able to come back to the default setting. So for example, for a federal return, you could have seen that how much I have been charging and the price that I have set as a fee. And for example, if I go to the search at the middle of the screen here, and if I type T5 and then I want to set a price for, let's say, $40 per slip for T5, and I can definitely do that right in here and hit enter. The asterisk, you can see that is showing that allows you to exclude items such as a T5 slip, that if you want to exclude it from appearing on the invoices as well. And you can provide custom descriptions for these excluded items as well. You can type in anything as you want, and you have the ability to type in English as well as in French as well. All right, and if I am feeling generous, I can also decide to give a discount. Let's say I want to give a 10% discount to taxpayers who are over 60 years of age. So I can definitely do that and specify in here. If you prefer not to invoice on a schedule basis, you would like to unselect this one, and you can set default as hourly rate based on your location, or if you want to do it in a both way, or depending on how you want to charge your clients. And these pricing configurations cascade onto the billing worksheet, streamline the process of preparing T1 return. And after applying these options, I can extend them to subsequent years. Again, just simply right-click on that, and then you will be able to apply the previous years or all the years that is all the years for the T1 pricing options. An additional feature worth noting is the ability to export the price list as well. So you can go to the top and click on this link. This is particularly helpful when dealing with numerous firms in the T1 module. The review messages that help you identify if there is some missing information or error in return. Here are the review messages options that you want to look into, where you can specify which review messages are displayed for the relevant module in the year. So once you have your options open, and then you would like to click into under the T1, TP1 module, and then you would like to look into the review tab in here, and you want to expand it to look into the options per module, per year module, and then you would like to select 2024 if you are configuring it for the current year. So here, T1 2024 with all the review messages that we that we show. There are a lot that vary depending on the severity, from the suggestions to caution required for you to transmit your return. So what I'm going to do here is, as I find that I don't really need the email review message to pop up when I'm preparing the return, and that's the review message that shows on the info forum to say you need to put a client's email address in. So rather than scrolling this lister of review messages, I can simply type in here email. And then what TaxCycle is going to do is find all the review messages that are relevant to word keyword email. So here what I'm going to do is simply I'm going to turn off the review message that says email address not entered. So I have just turned that off. Maybe I don't want to have it appear on engagement worksheet as well, and also on info worksheet as well. So as soon as I do that, now going forward, the TaxCycle will never show that review messages in those email fields. And there is one last thing I have to worry about resetting. I can simply click on this cross icon here to go back to see to clear my search. And if I want to see which review messages I have disabled, I can simply use the hyperlink at the bottom here. And if I click on that, you will be able to see that the one that we have just included in disabling the review message will appear in here. So the one that we did is info no email entered, and then also on the engagement worksheet we are seeing that that it is showing us here as well. And if we want to go back, you can just simply check that box right from here, and it will disappear next time you will come in here, and you can see that it is not showing us that message that we just removed. And now I will call this out again because it's such a useful feature, and now I have got my review messages just configured how I like, and I can simply go and apply those to all other years, and I don't have to do that year by year. So I can just right click and then apply to the previous years or to all the years on the T1 module for review options. So there's a quick overview of how you can control which review messages display. Here is a print options that you want to look into as well. So you can see various print sets in here provided by default in TaxCycle. And if you will look into include set of relevant forums, you have the flexibility to create as many custom sets as needed. These sets can be directed to specific printers and tailored to include chosen forms. For instance, in standard office copy, I can also, for example, if I click on this client copy and I'm able to see all the forms that are available in that client copy on the right hand side. And I prefer, let's say, e-file receipt that I want this to appear first, and then afterwards client invoice. So receipt as a first. So I can just simply rearrange them accordingly. And now you might have noticed this asterisk sign appeared on the right hand side of that print set that really is indicating that we have customization on this print set. And if I desired, I can revert to TaxCycle's default by simply clicking on this asterisk again and revert it. All right, and then alternatively, for a unique print set, I can make a copy of, for example, I can make a copy of Office copy in here, and then I can give it a name. Let's say I want to give it like a My Office copy, and then modify the settings for this one here. And let's say I want to have this save it as my internal copy, and then I can simply click on here on this edit link, and then I would like to have it printed as a PDF. And you can also give it a name, file name, using the file naming conventions with using the variables like taxpayer name, return year, and optionally you can also set a password here as well. And once you have those settings set up, you can simply close this, and then you can also refine the set form that can be added or removed. So on the left hand side you have all the available forms, and on the right hand side what you have within that print set. You can use the plus sign to add any of the form, and you can use this cross sign to remove any of the form from the print set, or you can use the drag and drop to add any of the form simply like this, and remove it from and also remove it from the print set as well. If you need to quickly search any of the form, you can just simply do that right from here, and it will show you all the review message, all the forms that you have related to that keyword that you have entered. All right, and then after you have created that, unlike other options that can be copied across year, printing is more nuanced. After creating my office copy, I can use a drop down arrow in here, and then to copy this custom print set to other years as well right from here. So this provides you a quick print overview, print options overview, and their capabilities. Next type is variants. Now let's talk quickly about the variants, and this is where you can set variant balances, choose values that you're comfortable with and on the field that are relevant and you feel comfortable with. And lastly, we do have, there are other options that you want to look into is, for example, template options if you want to set any of these or make changes according to the particular template or for the years. And then there are data monitors as well, options that you want to look into, and if there are any favorite bars that you want to include whenever you're opening a file for that particular module for that year, you would like to come in here and select that. And similarly for tabs, as you want to select any initial tabs to be appeared whenever you're opening a file, you would like to come in here and select that. Now let's quickly talk about workflow tools in workflow options in here. Depending on your firm's practice, you can tailor TaxCycle's workflow and tasks to align with your specific needs. In the T1 2024 workflow options, you have the flexibility to reorganize or hide tasks according to your preferences. For example, if you want in here, you want, let's say, client review tasks to appear in a review, you would like to simply use the drag and drop and have that task appear in review group. Or if you want to reorganize the groups, you can do that as well. For example, you may want to have client approval review. You want to have a client approval group appearing at the top of review, and then you would just simply use the drag and drop as well, and then rearrange the order of groups as well. And then also you can have some of the task marked as required. So for example, here I don't have second review completed not as a requirement. So however, first review completed and client review completed as required. So until and unless these two tasks are completed, the group will not be considered as completed. So it has to complete these two tasks. As soon as these two are completed, the whole group is considered as completed. And also, if you want to apply, once you have those settings, then you would like to apply to all the other years. So for that, simply right click and then apply it to the other years as well right from here. If you want to restore the default and start it again, you would simply click on Restore Defaults right from here. All right. Now, sharing options. So once you have some of the options in your local options already, which we have some of them already today in here, you can to share your options profile. First, you would like to create an options profile. So for that, you would like to click on this arrow at the top, and then you would click on clone. And as soon as you do that, before, if you have made any changes to that local options profile, you would like to save them. And then after that, it will ask you to where you want to save it. And then you can always choose the location by clicking on these three dots here. And once you do that, let's say I am happy with this file here, and I can go next, and I can give it a name. Once we give it a name, let's say it is Office Options Profile in here, and we can go next from here. And then after that, so if you end up in the contact and address tab under the organization, and that's where you want to put in your firm's name. Everybody in the firm office want to have a same name, but I can clear the checkbox on the preparer tab, and then preparer will be allowed to enter their own information on that tab. So that means that they have a different settings for template, but still have centralized information from the contact and address. And I also feel like most of the settings that surrounds the start screen and some of the settings in general from return preparation settings, that you should let people in your office decide how they want to work on those ones in general. So nice thing about this is that if you're new to the TaxCycle, or if you have not seen this before, it gives you the flexibility about what options you have and what options you want to share with your office and what options you will allow people to set themselves. So we have selected what we want to share and unselected the one that we don't want to share. And then we can simply hit on next. And if you have email set up, it will create and you want TaxCycle to create an email for you with the details of this options profile so that you can share with your team. You can keep this box checked off. Otherwise, if you want to do it again, you can simply create an options profile, and then you can see that it appears at the top, and you can always click on this icon here, email icon, to share this with your team as well. And just a last thing, that you can also set a password as well to prevent the changes in your options profile, but ensure you remember that password. And that is all from my side today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a wonderful day.